Hey there YouTube, how's it going? Nerdy Narwhal here, and I'm back again today for another 12th scale action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at one which I had actually forgotten all about pre-ordering because I did it so long ago. I believe the action figure in this box was actually solicited around the same time as this marvelous Hellcat 12th scale Gandalf the Grey action figure by Hellcat Studios. I guess that's redundant. However, this one did not come out at nearly the same time. As well, Hellcat, the makers of this Gandalf, have also solicited, I believe, their own version of this character now, which sort of might blow this one out of the water. I don't know. Either way, we are going to dive in now and take a look at the 1/12 scale Ranger of the North. I wonder who that can be. Let's check it out. Now, we're here today on my hobby table. This is where I do all of my miniature painting and action figure customization. Usually, I've had a chance to check out the figures that I'm reviewing prior to doing the review, but today I'm just going to give it to you guys raw. So we are going to unbox this bad boy and review it all in one fell swoop. As a collector myself, I do not usually appreciate unboxings as much as maybe some other collectors do. I don't care about boxes. I've had a ton of them. They're usually going to end up going right in the trash. But I realize that some people, yes, really do enjoy that aspect of these videos. There we go. Wrapped in plastic, the Miniworks Ranger of the North. Okay, we'll get that down there. Let's adjust the camera real quick so that we can get a little top-down view so I don't risk anything falling out of the box. There, how's that angle right there? Decent? I hope so. There we go, take that lid off. It is, I like that graphic art right there. It's got the one ring to rule them all text. Nice, cool. It's certainly more than Hellcat. Hellcat didn't have any sort of art box popping out. Now, I've said it before, Aragorn and the actor who plays him is a shockingly hard sculpt to master, to get right in any scale. He has such a unique face. Right out of the box. Pop him out here. Okay. Let's dial it in. Let's get in on that sculpt a little bit. I mean, it's certainly not the best Aragorn sculpt work that I've ever seen, but that'll get the job done, right? He's a tiny little figure. From a distance, yeah, that looks enough like Aragorn. It has its angles. That straight-on angle, that's not it. From the side, that's giving much more. Who's the guy? Is it Ewan McGregor? No. I'm spacing on his name, but there we go. The side profile is definitely more Aragorn right there. That's pretty Aragorn than straight on. Straight on, not so much. This isn't the best sculpt I've seen by a long shot. Playing around with that body a little bit. Doesn't feel incredible. This might warrant a body swap. Pants are crumbing across as ill fit, but oh well. I can tool around with that later. Modifying these things is most of the fun for me. As much as I enjoy having just a decent looking piece up on the shelf, let's set him off to the side there. Let's get out the hands. Let's see what we've got. And they're pretty darn good. Okay, we have a right tight gripping hand and a left splayed hand. This is probably actually the combination that I will end up displaying on the figure. We have a right, there we go, sort of display claw grabby hand, and we have a left hand which is presumably covered in orc blood. It looks exactly the same as this one sculpt wise, but it is all red. Asmoose also did something with an Aragorn where the hands were completely red, so I wonder if I'm just missing something from the movies where Aragorn's hands were covered in orc blood. I don't know. Anyways, there's his pipe. That is a nice little addition. There's his ranger bow with actual working bow action. That just feels like a little rubber band, right? Nothing too fancy there. This is important. How did they do on the sword? It's a plastic sword. Feels very, very fragile. That is a thin, flimsy piece of plastic, but it's not warped at all. And I don't require die-cast weapons for all of my action figures, so that'll do the trick so long as I'm careful with it. It's not flimsy feeling in the hilt. Pull it out. It's a tiny little piece of plastic. And his little paring knife, his sharpener, not sure what that is, that does not come out. So do bear that in mind. In this little baggie here, we have some arrows for his bow. And look at that bounty underneath there. Another layer of goodies for us to dive into. We have his quiver with a folded up bow already inside of it. I do like that. We have his sleeping mat. Nice. We have this cloth that he wore wrapped around his shoulders. We have a display stand. I do like that. I wonder if he is this. Did Miniworks make that Anakin Skywalker? I got that one also. Same type of display stand. I wonder if it's not the same company. I'll have to look into that. And we have another cloak. So I'm going to zoom it out here. I'm going to get Aragorn quickly set up for a little bit of a display, get that cloak on, get some of those accessories on there, and we will see how we do. One moment. And all right, here is Aragorn all ready for war. I wanted you guys to be able to see just a quick what the figure looked like with all of those accessories put on, and I'll give you my thoughts here real quick before we go into articulation. That cloak is probably not going to work, at least not with everything else on there. Let's pop that head off, get that cloak off. It's a nice enough cloak. It doesn't hang super naturally. It looks the part though, but I might find, I don't know, maybe another figure just to slip that on over, or it'll stay in the box. Now, some of these other accessories, this actually works really good. It fits him well enough, and it will, after some adjustment, hang fairly naturally on the shoulders. That random piece of cloth that he wore, not bad. Take that off. The quiver, that just is too dang baggy to really be effective. It needs to be tightened up probably, by about that much. There. It's focused on my hands. So a significant margin, right? We need to tighten it up by about an inch in order for that to hang properly on the figure. Now this is just one solid strip of pleather, so tightening it up would mean snipping and re-gluing. It'd be a permanent fix, something that I will probably do as I tinker with the figure. And lastly, on the topic of accessories, I didn't see how this was at all supposed to affix to the figure, so I just sort of slid that plastic sheath into that rubber belt and called it a day. That'll work well enough. It's not accurate to his kit in the movie, but oh well. The hand holds the sword exceptionally. It's nice and tight. That is a collecting pet peeve of mine when Figures cannot hold their accessories, so we are very happy about that. And now, let's get in to the figure proper, right? Let's do some articulation. Actually, let's see if we can't zoom all the way in on that ring real quick. I don't think I have the resolution really to pick up something that small. But his ring, it looks about as good as Asmus's first attempt at doing that ring, which actually isn't so bad considering this is a 12 scale figure and not a 6 scale figure. Now let's go over articulation, right? Head is pretty standard. The neck is a separate piece from the head, so you've got a double ball at the top, double ball at the bottom. You're going to be able to get plenty of range of motion out of that head and neck joint. Really only hindered, but not hindered too much, by that hair. You'll have to maneuver that hair around a little bit. I'm not sure what this coat is made out of. It actually feels not like a leather material. It feels like a fabric material. So I'm not sure if that hair is going to tear it up or not. I'm thankful for that, because if this were pleather, it would be on a very limited time span, right? We all know that. Pleather doesn't hold up. It's trash and belongs in the bin. So that is okay. The arms will go out right to about there without relying on any rotation. The jacket is tight and will limit just how far forward you can move those arms. That's about the maximum right there. Oh, and that sounded tight. That's a tight joint. And right there. Now, with tight coats, if you move one arm back, you can usually get another arm to go more forward, and that's one of the tricks of the trade if you're trying to pose the arm forward. So when you do it like that, you're going to get about 90 degrees, which is okay. Elbow is, let's get both those arms back there. Oh, that squeakiness, I don't know about that. Sheesh. There is a double bend in the elbow, which is going to allow you to get right to about 45 degrees. Pretty good. Bring that back down. There's a swivel up at the top of the bicep too. That works just fine. And your wrist is a standard, oh, let's actually make it so you can see the wrist. It's a standard hinge and swivel joint, which really inside of that gauntlet, you're pretty much just going to be swiveling it around. And that's okay, right? Hands pop off pretty darn easy, right? And they fit on there pretty sturdily. I never felt like I was going to break something swapping those hands out. So that is all well and good. Now, let's see what's going on underneath. Oh, there's a butterfly in there too. I just felt that. It's not the most effective butterfly, but it is there. There is a cut at the diaphragm on this body, which will work in conjunction with the waist to give Aragorn a good bending down and leaning back. It's all well and good. The legs inside of these tight pants will kick to about right there. Not too shabby. One leg will kick out about that far, no farther, due to the tightness of the pants, right? That crotch will explode if you try anything more than that. And a solid range of motion, there we go, from that double bend in the knees. Now, here is a hang up that I do have. You have the double cut boots, right? That's nice. That'll give you some good articulation. Why not just use a ball joint? It's a ball joint down here, but then it's on a weird hinge and swivel system. It's like the old Sideshow collectible feet joint, kind of. I don't know. It's archaic. I don't like those joints at all. I'd rather just have a ball, right? I'm not trying, I mean, a ball joint's going to give me just as much articulation as I need, but they opted for this. So There we go. That's what we've got. And that is what we've got. That is our first 1/12 scale Aragorn. So it is kind of nice to have. Let's get him next to, Gandalf here. Real quick. Oh, where'd the rest of his display base go? There it is. Awesome. As you can see, Gandalf is definitely taller, definitely more in scale with Mezco 1/12 figures, while this Aragorn is going to be in more of a traditional import 1/12 scale. Let's get a couple more pieces down for that comparison. Do I have a Mezco Conan? Yeah, I do. There we go. Mezco Conan. Here's another piece. Just dwarfs him, as you can see. So, if you are going to put Aragorn on a shelf with Mezco, just know you're going to have to do some creative posing to make up for that height difference. All right, let's get into some closing thoughts on the Miniwork 1/12 scale Ranger of the North action figure. Now, well, here's my closing thoughts. Every collection needs a serviceable Aragorn in it, right? Whether that is the magnificent in-art Aragorn, which I've owned, and that's bar none the best Aragorn I've ever touched or displayed, or if it's an Asmus offering, or maybe it's this one. This is a serviceable Aragorn. It's certainly not the best Aragorn collectible you can get, but it costs about $100, and if you're a 1/12 scale collector, it's kind of all you can get right now. I believe Figure Arts is releasing theirs, and that one might be a banger, but it won't use as much soft goods as this one does. And Hellcat will be hopefully releasing their Aragorn, and that I imagine will be the best in 1/12 scale that you can get your hands on. If you need one right now and you can find it for a decent price, go ahead and pick this guy up. However, if you have patience, I'd say just wait for the Hellcat release. I have a feeling it's going to be better. This isn't bad. As I said, it's serviceable, but there's just some stuff like this. Why doesn't the sheath actually fit into the belt? And that doesn't look very good, right? That warping right there on the paring knife that doesn't even come out. The cloak isn't really going to be wearable by the figure in its current state, not nicely at least. This is going to need heavy modification in order to be usable. If I'm nitpicking, that sword is too gosh darn small. Aragorn's sword was bigger. He would wield it with two hands. He can't even fit his second hand on there. There we go. There. See, it's just too small. Sword's too small. Oh well. Articulation on this guy, right? It's kind of crummy. But it's not terrible, right? I'll put it like this and I'll stick it up on the shelf and I'll call it a day probably. And that'll be okay. I'll patiently wait for the Hellcat to come out. But as always, you guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to get at me down in the comments. I'll make another video or I'll respond depending on what your question needs. If I've missed anything in this review, feel free to let me know down below, and I can give you answers to hopefully whatever you might need in regards to this figure. This very okay Aragorn action figure. And that's going to be all. Stay happy, stay healthy, and keep on collecting. Nerdy Narwhal out.